Have you ever looked at a stock report and felt like you needed a secret decoder ring to understand it? Yeah, me too. Well, today, we're going to crack the code. We're going to take a real, live, technical analysis report and translate it into plain English. All right, so the stock we're digging into is NBTX. And it's super important to remember, this whole report is just a snapshot. It's from the morning of January 3rd, 2026. In the market, things can change in the blink of an eye, so that date is our anchor.
And this is what we're up against, a wall of data. And believe it or not, this is just a piece of the full report. You've got SMAs, EMAs, MACD, RSI. It's enough to make your head spin, right? This is exactly the kind of information overload that traders are looking at all day, every day.
So the million-dollar question is, what on earth does any of this mean? But hey, don't sweat it. It's not as scary as it looks. Think of it like a detective story. We're just going to pick out the most important clues, one by one, and piece together what's really going on with this stock.
Okay, first things first. In any investigation, you need a starting point, right? So before we dive into all the fancy stuff like trends and momentum, let's nail down the most basic, most important number on the board.
And there it is, $22.13. That's the price of one share of NBTX at the time of this report. This number, this is our North Star. Everything else we look at, every single indicator, it all revolves around this one price.
All right, so we've got our price. Now what? Well, the next logical question is, where's it heading? Is it on an upward climb? Is it falling? Or is it just kind of stuck? To figure that out, we've got to look at the trend.
I love this way of thinking about it. You've got the short-term stuff, right? The daily waves, all that choppy noise. But underneath all that, there's the long-term tide, the real direction of the current. To get the full picture, you have to look at both. And the tool we use for that, it's called a moving average. Okay, now let's apply that to our stock. This table, this is where the story starts to get really interesting. Check out the long term, the 200-day average. It's way down at 11 bucks. Our price, remember, is over 22. That's almost double. So the long-term tide has been pushing way up. But, and this is a big but, look at that short-term 20-day average. It's at $22.26. That is right on top of where the price is now.
So what does that tell us? It means that powerful, long-term tide that was lifting this stock up, well, it seems to have run out of steam lately. The little waves on the surface, they aren't pushing higher anymore. They're just sloshing back and forth. This is our first huge clue.
Okay, so the trend is flattening out. The big question is, why? Are buyers getting tired? Are sellers starting to take over? To answer that, we need to look at momentum. Basically, how much oomph is behind the price. First up is the RSI, or Relative Strength Index. The easiest way to think about it is like a speedometer for the stock's price. If it's over 70, the engine's running hot. We call that overbought, and it might need to cool down. If it's under 30, it's oversold, and might be ready for a jump start.
So for NBTX, the RSI is 50.80. That's smack dab in the middle. It's perfectly neutral. What that's telling us is that the buyers and sellers are in a dead heat. The stock isn't taking off like a rocket, but it's not falling off a cliff either. It's just balanced.
All right, our next momentum gadget is the MACD. Now this one's a little more complicated, but stick with me. Its main job is to show us if the trend is getting stronger or weaker. It does that by comparing two different moving averages, kind of like seeing if the speedboat is pulling away from the big ship or getting closer to it.
And here we go. The key thing to notice here is that the main MACD line is below that other signal line. In trader speak, that's often a bearish sign. It hints that prices might be headed down. It's basically confirming what we suspected. The momentum is fading. The trend isn't just neutral anymore, it's starting to look pretty tired. Okay, let's recap. We've got a trend that's gone flat and momentum that's fading away. The last piece of the puzzle is volatility. Is this stock on a calm, gentle ride, or is it a wild roller coaster? This tells us how certain or uncertain the market is feeling.
And for that, we look at Bollinger Bands. Just think of them as a channel, or a river, that the price flows within. When the river is super wide, that means high volatility. When the banks squeeze in tight like they are here, volatility is low. It usually means the stock is just consolidating.
And if you look at the actual numbers, our price of $22.13 is just chilling right near the middle of that channel. It's not pushing up against the top, it's not falling through the bottom. This just drives the point home. The stock is in a holding pattern. Total consolidation.
All right, we've looked at the trend, the momentum, and the volatility. We've gathered all our clues. Now it's time for the big reveal. Let's put it all together and see what the final scorecard says.
So the report boils all of that down into one single number, the technical score. And for NBTX, it's a 37 out of 100. Now, what does that mean? Well, it's basically neutral, maybe leaning a little bit negative. It's definitely not screaming buy, but it's not screaming sell either. It perfectly captures all that uncertainty we've been seeing. And this chart really puts things into perspective. Check this out. Over the last year, this stock went from under $3 all the way to over $30. That is a monster run. And right now, it's sitting about 70% of the way up that massive range. It's way, way closer to its peak than its valley. This kind of backs up the idea that, maybe the easiest part of the ride is over. So, what do we watch now? The report gives us these three critical numbers. Think of 2159 as the floor. That's support, where buyers might show up. And think of 2274 as the ceiling, resistance, where sellers might jump in. That pivot point right in the middle, that's the battleground. Whichever way the price breaks from here, that's probably the next big move. And there you have it. We started with that insane wall of data, and we've boiled it all down to one simple story. This is the whole thing in a nutshell. We have a stock that had an amazing run, but right now it's just taking a breather. It's hitting pause, consolidating, and the outlook is pretty neutral. Which, of course, leaves us with the big cliffhanger, right? Is this just a quick nap before the next big sprint uphill? Or is this the top, the start of a slide back down? The data has painted a super clear picture of right now. But what happens next? Well, that story hasn't been written yet. All we can do is watch those key levels and see which side wins the fight.